Hello and welcome, I am Thomas Porteous and you are watching NewsX World. Let's turn to some of the top stories. After Friday's devastating 7.7 magnitude earthquake strikes Myanmar, the death toll rises to over 1,600. The war-torn country's militia junta government begins to allow international aid from China, India and Russia. Bangkok city authorities have said the death toll from the earthquake has now risen to 17 people. As rescue efforts continue, the Bangkok Metropolitan Authority said that 32 people have been injured and 83 are still unaccounted for, most of which are from the site of a 30-storey tower block that was under construction that collapsed. Anti-coup rebels in Myanmar, led by the People's Defence Force, declare a 2-week partial ceasefire to allow earthquake relief efforts. This comes as the military junta continues to bomb parts of the country following the major earthquake. South Korea, China and Japan hold their first economic dialogue in 5 years, seeking to facilitate regional trade. The country's 3 trade ministers agreed to closely cooperate for a comprehensive and high-level agreement to promote regional and global trade. Now over to Europe. Ukraine accuses Russia of war crime with military hospital strike in Kharkiv, damaging the building and wounding military personnel undergoing treatment while killing 2 others in a drone attack in the region. Hamas says it supports resuming a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip amid Israeli airstrikes. The proposal put forward by mediators would see 5 more hostages released to Israel in exchange for a 50-day truce. Meanwhile, Hamas releases a new video of a hostage kept in Gaza. Hundreds of thousands of people in Turkey have continued to protest against the jailing of Istanbul Mayor Imamoglu. President Erdogan's main rival's arrest has seen the largest protests that the country has seen in the past decade. Turkey also confirms that a Swedish journalist was arrested over terror ties after reporting on the protests. US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says Japan is indispensable in countering Chinese aggression during his visit to the East Asian country. The Pentagon chief says that he was confident that Japan would make the correct determination of its military capabilities amid expectations that Washington wants Tokyo to increase spending. It has been 40 hours since a series of powerful earthquakes left behind a trail of destruction in Myanmar and Thailand. The death toll in Myanmar has risen to 1,644, with over 3,400 injured following the major 7.7 magnitude earthquake. Rescue efforts are ongoing with severe damage to critical infrastructure, including bridges and roads, hindering aid delivery. The United Nations have mobilized emergency supplies, sending 137 tons, with more assistance expected from India. In Thailand, the death toll has now reached 17, with 32 injured and 83 still unaccounted for. Out of the victims, 12 of them were mostly from the site of a collapsed 30-storey skyscraper in Bangkok. At least 70 workers remain trapped in the building, and rescue operations continue with cranes and heavy equipment. Myanmar's junta chief, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, has called for a coordinated medical response as hospitals face shortages of supplies. Meanwhile, more than 50 mosques were damaged and many Muslim worshippers are feared dead. The US Geological Service's predictive modelling estimates that Myanmar's death toll could surpass 10,000 people, with economic losses potentially exceeding the country's annual output. We're now looking at some visuals now coming in from Thailand. This 30-storey building which has crashed down. There were viral images of that surrounding the internet. Rescue efforts are still ongoing, as you can see. This is the main rescue effort in Thailand, this 30-story building that crashed down. 17 now dead. That is a increase of 5 additional people in the city of Bangkok, which was hit by the earthquake that was centered in Myanmar. So we will continue to bring you more updates from that rescue mission as it continues. Myanmar's military junta has continued airstrikes in the aftermath of the devastating earthquake. The United Nations has condemned these attacks as completely outrageous and unacceptable, especially as rescue efforts are underway. UN Special Rapporteur Tom Andrews called it incredible that the military continues bombings while people are still trapped under rubble. Reports confirm that 7 people were killed in an airstrike in northern Shan state just hours after the earthquake. Additional reports indicate bombings in the quake's epicentre, Saigon, and near the Thai border. Pro-democracy rebel groups have also reported airstrikes in the region. In response, Myanmar's National Unity Government announced a 2-week pause in offensive military operations, except for defence actions in earthquake-affected areas. Despite the pause, the junta's continued bombings raise global concern as the country struggles with both the earthquake aftermath and ongoing conflict. We now have some exclusive visual footage of a local woman in Thailand, Bangkok, who has just found out that her missing daughter has been rescued in Myanmar. Her daughter was trapped when a high-rise building in Mandalay, Myanmar, near the epicentre of this quake, collapsed. Let's have a look.
I know มันบอกว่าเสื้อสีใส่หมวกสีน้ำเงินเสื้อสีแดงกางเกงสีออกสีน้ำสีครีมออกขาวๆรองเท้าสีชมพูมันใช่มันตรงส่งวิดีโอไปดิ
Those visuals were captured by Brian Thomas, who is on ground in Bangkok, providing us timely updates on the aftermath and rescue operations. Let's hear from him as he talks to the locals in Chachuak Market.
Well, NewsX is in Bangkok and we are joined by a Thai local. More than 96 people are missing. 9 people have unfortunately lost their lives. Ma'am, welcome to NewsX. What is the situation right now, ma'am? In Bangkok now, here. Here, yes.
It's still awful.
Situation is bad?
Yeah. From that building that destroyed, collapsed.
96 people still missing, 9 people dead, ma'am. Missing 9 dead till today. How do you see the situation now? What kind of situation are we going through now?
Now?
Yes.
It's
Very bad. And how?
because there are still many people that live there inside.
And how are the authorities working? How officials are working? How good are officials working?
The official is trying to find out the dead body, and I think that there may be people that still alive.
And ma'am, very importantly, how soon can things become normal?
I think it's almost a month.
Almost a month. Thank you, ma'am. So yes, this was a Thai resident who spoke to us exclusively for. Well, NewsX is in Bangkok. We've been covering everything that was happening from day before yesterday in Myanmar. You know, in Myanmar, more than 1,600 people have lost their lives. In Bangkok itself, 9 people, with the official data, 9 people have also lost their lives. And to speak more about it, we have a very special guest from Taiwan. She is a journalist herself. Ma'am, please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm a reporter from Taiwan. My company is TVBS.
So, ma'am, you've been covering. When did you come here?
I come here. I remember Friday night. Yeah.
So what is happening? You've been covering. What all have you covered? What all are you covering? How is the situation looking here?
Yes. We focus on the rescue progress. How many people die? How many people survive? Yeah.
So is there any information you got about the people who are stuck inside till now?
Now I think that the progress stopped.
Hmm.
Yeah. Nothing new happened right now. Yeah. We are
Okay.
waiting for good news.
And when are you hoping that the things will be normal here?
Yeah.
How soon do you think normalcy will happen here?
I don't understand.
When will you think things will be better
Yeah,
here in Bangkok?
in Bangkok?
Yeah.
You mean the rescue team?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's better. It's good. Yeah, it's very work.
Okay, so he is here for 4 years, and he came from the Myanmar, and he worked here in the construction site. ပြီးတော့အခုအဲ့ဖြစ်တဲ့နေရာအကြောင်းနည်းနည်းပြောပြပါလား
နေရကြောကျွန်တော်ထွေးသားပြီးတော့နေ့လည်းပြန်စီနေချင်းနေ့လည်းပြန်စီနေချင်းကျွန်တော်တို့အလုပ်ဝင်ပေါ့ပြီးဟိုလေနလန်းတင်တဲ့ဟာကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့ကြားတွေပြန်ပြီးတော့အသားကြားတွေပြန်ခင်းပြတာပေါ့အပေါ်ကကုန်းချိုးတဲ့လူတွေဒီကြီးကအောက်ကိုမကြောက်အောက်ထပ်မှာတခါရှိသေးတယ်လေအောက်ထပ်အောက်ကိုမကြောက်တော့အပေါ်နေပြားခင်းပြတဲ့အချိန်မှာငင်းလှုပ်တာကျွန်တော်ကငင်းလှုပ်တယ်တော့မသိဘူးကိုယ့်ကိုနေပေါ်တဲ့အသွေးအားနဲ့တော့ဘူးရထင်တယ်သွားကြတာဘယ်ဟုတ်မလဲကျွန်တော်တို့ဟိုဘက်ထိုက်ကိုလည်း30နေတဲ့ဒီလည်းကြည့်ပေါ့။ခံနေခွာကြလာတော့မြေပြုံဆိုပြီးတော့မင်းလို့ရဆိုပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ကပြေးတာပေါ့။ဟိုမိမအောက်တက်ကနေကန်ရှင်းလို့ဟိုသူက7နှစ်တစ်ချက်တေးတာနဲ့သူတို့ကဟိုအထက်ကိုရောက်ပြီးသားနေအောက်တက်ကိုရောက်ပြီးတော့ကားလေးကနေသူကရောက်ပြီးတော့ရှေ့မှာကန်ရှင်းလုပ်ပြီးရှိပြီးရဲ့သူတို့ကမရတော့ဆိုပုံပြေးတာတော့မိဘတွေလည်းရှိတာပေါ့အားကြီးရောသူက
To everyone who are watching us on television, yes, things have become bad. We have been covering, NewsX have been in Bangkok, and we've been covering everything that has been going on. We were covering from Myanmar as well, where more than 1,600 people have lost their lives. Even as per official data also in Bangkok, 9 people have lost their lives. We are also joined by a very special guest. He's a journalist, a Russian journalist. His name is Igor. Sir, welcome to NewsX. What is happening here? How are things looking right now?
So it was earthquake, 28th of March. I was at home at 30th at 30th level. So everything started shaking, and in my flat 2 walls were cracked. And my son told me that I don't want to die here, and I started to action. We were evacuated with my family on the streets and waited there for approximately 3 hours, and then the administration of our condominium allowed us to enter our flats, but elevators didn't work.
And how is the situation here? You're covering, you're a journalist. How is the situation looking here? How many people are still stuck inside?
So as you can see, there are many journalists here working here, including me. So we all understand the situation is very serious because couples people remaining unaccounted under this building.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for speaking to us. So yes, viewers, that was Igor who spoke exclusively to us and gave his perspective. This is me, Brian Andy Thomas, signing off.
We now have some breaking news coming in from Bangkok, Thailand, where rescue teams in the city have recovered another body from the collapsed building in the city's Chatuchak district, bringing the death toll to at least 12. Fire and Rescue Thailand confirmed the discovery in a Facebook update, stating that the body was found in the upper section of the debris. Emergency crews continue to search for any remaining victims as authorities investigate the cause of the collapse. That is obviously a developing situation. We will continue to bring you any and all updates from that continuing and developing situation. We move on now to some news updates from Europe. Russia launched deadly drone strikes on Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, late on Saturday night, hitting a military hospital, a shopping centre and apartment blocks. 2 people were killed and at least 25 others, including servicemen, were injured. Ukrainian President Zelensky condemned the attack as a war crime. Just an hour earlier, President Volodymyr Zelensky called for a strong Western response to Russia's relentless assaults. Here is what he said.
Росію треба примусити до миру, і тільки примус спрацює. Вже надто довго на столі пропозиція Америки про безумовне припинення вогню, без адекватної відповіді з Росії. Це багато говорить. Вже могло би бути припинення вогню, якби на Росію був справді.
Ukraine reported that over 170 drones targeted multiple regions, including Kiev and Dnipro, where 4 people were killed. Meanwhile, Russia claimed control of 3 villages in eastern and southern Ukraine, further intensifying the conflict. Moscow's forces reportedly seized villages in Sumy. Ukraine has not confirmed these losses, and independent verification remains very difficult. To the Middle East now, where Hamas has agreed to a Gaza ceasefire proposal presented by mediators Egypt and Qatar, according to the group's chief Khalal al-Hayya. In a televised speech, he said Hamas had accepted the plan and urged Israel not to undermine it. The proposal reportedly includes the staggered release of Israeli hostages, with 5 being freed each week. This is what they said.
وقد تسلمنا قبل يومين مقترحا من الإخوة الوسطاء في مصر وقطر تعاملنا معه بإيجابية ووافقنا عليه ونأمل ألا يعطله الاحتلال أو أن يجهض جهود الوسطاء.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office, however, has submitted a counter-proposal after reviewing the terms. Officials say it was drafted in full coordination with the United States. Egypt had earlier reported positive indications from Israel regarding a potential agreement, but it remains unclear if the 2 sides are close to a deal. Meanwhile, Hamas's armed wing has released a new video showing an Israeli hostage pleading for his release. The 3-minute footage features Elkanah Bobot, who was kidnapped from a music festival during Hamas's October 7th attack. We move now to the Indo-Pacific, where Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Sunday he expects to have a one-on-one discussion with US President Donald Trump regarding tariffs, as Washington prepares to announce new trade measures on April the 2nd. When asked whether he would personally raise the issue with Trump, Albanese said, "We'll have a one-on-one discussion." He noted that an earlier opportunity to speak was missed because Trump had chosen not to engage with other leaders before implementing his tariff regime. Australia's election campaign has increasingly focused on international relations, particularly regarding the US and China. Both Albanese's Labour Party and opposition leader Peter Dutton's Liberal National Coalition are presenting themselves as best suited to handle ties with the Trump administration. Dutton, on the other hand, has centred his campaign on housing affordability, arguing that high prices are making homeowners HIP unattainable for many Australians. His longer-term policy vision includes adopting nuclear power as part of Australia's energy future. After enjoying a strong lead of much of his term, Albanese's personal approval ratings have slipped and are now close to Dutton's, which just weeks to go before the election, both parties are intensifying their efforts to win over voters. Here's what Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said in an interview.
Well, we'll have a one-on-one discussion, but a couple of weeks ago, the reason why that didn't occur was because the President made a decision to not talk to anyone and to impose this regime on every country. Every single country is subject to those steel and aluminium tariffs. They represent a very small amount. US exports, bear this in mind to put it in some context, US exports represent around about 5% of Australia's exports to the world. The bigger impact on Australia is what the US does right around the world. That is the thing that is causing concern in global economic.
Over to Europe now, where France's trade ministry condemned unacceptable US interference after the American embassy in Paris sent letters to French firms warning against diversity programs. These are known as DEIs. The letters were sent to companies engaged or seeking to do business in the US. It included questionnaires asking firms to confirm they do not practice DEI, which the US claims infringes on federal anti-discrimination laws. France swiftly hit back, with the ministry calling the interference unjustified and affirming that the country would defend its companies and values. DEI programs promote opportunities for historically excluded groups and have been a frequent target of President Donald Trump. His January executive order banning DEI in federal programs also applies to US contractors globally. The US Embassy did not immediately respond, and it remains unclear how many companies received the letter. French business leaders have denounced the move, stressing it undermines France's sovereignty. 7 Tesla cars were set on fire in Berlin, Germany, sparking police concerns over a possible political motive. The incidents occurred on Friday morning in different districts, with multiple vehicles damaged. Authorities have not identified any suspects, but the attacks coincide with global protests against Tesla CEO Elon Musk. Demonstrators gathered outside Tesla showrooms in cities from Australia to the US as part of the Tesla takedown movement. Protesters urged people to boycott Tesla, sell its stock, and oppose Musk's role in cutting US federal budgets under Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. More than 200 rallies were held worldwide, with the local themes shaping each event. Ireland's demonstration was called Smash the Fash, while Switzerland's carried the slogan Down with Doge. Organisers say stopping Musk will help protect democracy and save jobs. The fires in Berlin remain under investigation, with authorities not ruling out a connection to the anti-Musk demonstrations. Turning back to the US now, where Secretary Pete Hegseth has called Japan indispensable in countering Chinese aggression and ensuring a credible deterrence in the Indo-Pacific. Speaking in Tokyo alongside Japan's Defense Minister General Nakatani, Hegseth highlighted the strong military ties between the two nations, calling Japan a cornerstone of peace and security in the region. Here's what Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth had to say.
Japan is our indispensable partner in deterring communist Chinese military aggression. The U.S. is moving fast, as you know, to reestablish deterrence in this region and around the world, and we look forward to working with you and learning more about how Japan is doing the same.
Japan hosts around 50,000 US military personnel, fighter squadrons, and Washington's only forward-deployed aircraft carrier strike group. Its strategic location along a 3,000-kilometer island chain serves as a critical counterbalance to China's growing military power. Hegseth's remarks come as the US reassesses its commitments in other regions, recently warning European allies not to take Washington's military presence for granted. His visit to Japan follows a stop in the Philippines and a memorial service at Iwo Jima, marking 80 years since the historic Battle of World War II. Over to Africa now, where Sudanese Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan has vowed that the military would continue fighting until the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces lays down its weapons. In his first televised address since retaking Khartoum, Burhan stated that peace is only possible if the RSF disarms, ruling out any negotiations. He pledged to eliminate the paramilitaries, saying that we will neither forgive nor compromise nor negotiate. Burhan's speech came after the army recaptured key sites in Khartoum, including the presidential palace, which had been under RSF control since the war began nearly 2 years ago. Despite Burhan's victory, the RSF remains defiant and has formed a military alliance with Sudan's People Liberation Movement North, escalating tensions. The war has divided Sudan, killing tens of thousands and displacing over 12 million people. The country is now divided, with the army controlling the north and east, with the RSF holding much of the west and south. Here's what the Sudanese army chief had to say.
الشعب السوداني الأبي أن طريق السلام وإنهاء الحرب ما زال مشرعا، فمعاناة أهلنا في مناطق سيطرة الميليشيا الإرهابية وحصارهم وتدميرهم وقتلهم لهم خاصة في الفاشر، وضرورة إشاعة السلام والطمأنينة في ربيع الوطن، كل ذلك ممكن وطريقه واضح وهو أن تضع.
Back over to the Middle East now, where Syria's new transitional government has been sworn in, marking a historic shift for nearly 4 months after the Assad family was removed from power. The 23-member cabinet, which includes religious and ethnic diversity, is set to guide Syria through its 5-year transitional period. Unlike previous governments, there is no prime minister, with a secretary general overseeing administration under the new temporary constitution. Here is what Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Shara had to say.
أيها المواطنون الكرام، إن هذا التوقيت الذي نعلن فيه عن تشكيل أول حكومة هو إعلان لإرادتنا المشتركة في بناء دولة جديدة، دولة قوية مستقرة تضع مصلحة الوطن والمواطن في مقدمة.
Foreign Minister Assad al-Shaibani and Defence Minister Morhaf Abu Qasa will retain their positions in the new government, while Anas Katab, formerly the head of General Intelligence, has been appointed as Interior Minister. The newly appointed ministers include key figures such as Hind Kawabat, a Christian activist named Minister of Social Affairs and Labour, and Rayed Salah, former head of the White Helmets, who will now lead the Ministry for Emergency Disasters. Defence Minister Abu Qasra has pledged to build a professional army, while Emergency Minister Mohamed al-Bashir faces the task of restoring Syria's war-ravaged electricity and oil sectors. Despite the formation of a mixed government, the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces were not included. Many Turks protested in Istanbul against the jailing of Mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, who is the President Tayyip Erdogan's main rival. This is the largest demonstration Turkey has seen in more than a decade. Özgür Özel, the leader of the main opposition party, CHP, which organised the rally, said there were 2.2 million people in the crowd. However, the numbers are yet to be confirmed. The demonstrations have mostly been peaceful. Some earlier protests faced some heavy-handed police tactics, who fired tear gas and rubber bullets. Nearly 2,000 people have been arrested, including some journalists who had been covering the protests. Turkey further also confirmed that a Swedish journalist was arrested over terror ties after reporting on the protests. Well, that's all we have time for. We will continue to bring you more international news updates.